I was 29 years old when I bought my first retail store. It was a small coffee shop in Portland, struggling to stay afloat, drowning in debt from the previous owner's mismanagement. I paid $47,000 for it. Everything I'd saved from 3 years of working 80-hour weeks as a business consultant. My family thought I was insane. "You're throwing away a perfectly good career," Dad said when I told him. He was sitting in his recliner, barely looking up from the television. "Business consultant is a real job. Coffee shop owner is what people do when they fail at real jobs." Mom nodded from the kitchen. "Your brother has his accounting firm. Your sister Amanda has her law practice. And you're going to make lattes." I was the middle child, the one who never quite fit the family mold. Amanda was the brilliant one. Harvard Law partnership at 32, married to another lawyer. My older brother Marcus was the responsible one. CPA, 3 kids, house in the suburbs, everything planned and predictable. I was just Rachel, the weird one. The one who wanted to do her own thing. The disappointment. The coffee shop was my escape. I renamed it Cornerstone Coffee, redesigned the interior, reorganized the supply chain, and implemented a customer loyalty program I designed myself. Within 8 months we were profitable. Within 18 months I'd paid off all the debt and had enough saved to consider expanding. My family never visited. Not once. "Too far of a drive," Mom said. Portland was 45 minutes away. "I don't drink coffee," Dad said. He drank 2 cups every morning. Amanda never responded to my invitations at all. I opened my second location 2 years later. Then a third. Then I started franchising. By the time I was 35, Cornerstone Coffee had 73 locations across 6 states. By 38 we had 214 locations. My family still thought I made lattes for a living. They never asked about the business. They never asked how I was doing. At family dinners they talked about Amanda's latest case, Marcus's kids' soccer games, Dad's golf handicap. When the conversation turned to me, it was always Rachel's still doing her coffee thing. Last year I made the Forbes 400 list. Net worth, $1.7 billion. Cornerstone Coffee was valued at $3.2 billion, with plans to go public within 18 months. The Forbes article never came up at Thanksgiving dinner. I don't think they read it. Or maybe they did and assumed it was a different Rachel Morrison. 3 weeks ago everything changed. I'd recently implemented a new policy across all Cornerstone locations. Twice a year I would work a full shift at a random store unannounced. No corporate badges, no special treatment. I'd wear the standard employee uniform and work the register, make drinks, clean tables. I wanted to understand what my employees experienced, what customers really thought, where our systems were failing. The Portland store I'd chosen for this month was one of our older locations, housed in a converted warehouse in the Pearl District. It was showing its age. The espresso machines needed upgrading, the furniture was worn, the paint was starting to chip. I'd already approved the renovation budget. The work was scheduled to start in 2 weeks. I showed up at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday, wearing the standard Cornerstone uniform. Black polo shirt with the company logo, khaki pants, green apron. My name tag said Rachel with no last name. The store manager, Kevin, was a 24-year-old kid I'd hired personally 6 months ago. Smart, hardworking, great with customers. He thought I was a new transfer from the Seattle region. "Rachel, right?" he said when I arrived. "Welcome to the team. We're usually pretty busy from 7 to 9, so be ready for a rush." "Looking forward to it," I said. The morning rush was intense. Office workers grabbing coffee on their way to work, students from the nearby art school, construction workers from the building projects down the street. I worked the register, called out orders, cleaned the espresso machine between drinks. My feet hurt. My back ached. I loved every minute of it. At 10 a.m. the rush died down. Kevin was in the back doing inventory. I was wiping down tables when the door opened. My parents walked in. I froze, cloth in hand, staring at them. They didn't recognize me at first. Why would they? They'd never seen me in a Cornerstone uniform. They'd never been to a Cornerstone Coffee. As far as they knew, I still worked at that first little coffee shop in Portland, barely scraping by. They weren't alone. Amanda was with them, wearing an expensive suit and carrying a leather briefcase. Marcus was there too, checking his phone. It was Mom who spotted me first. Her eyes widened in surprise, then narrowed in what looked like disgust. "Rachel," she said loudly. "Is that you?" I straightened up, still holding the cloth. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. They walked over to where I was standing. Other customers glanced up, sensing drama. What are you doing? Dad asked. He looked around the coffee shop with obvious disdain, taking in the worn furniture, the chipped paint, the old espresso machines. Are you working here? Yes, I said simply. Amanda laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. You own a coffee shop and you're working as a barista in someone else's store? Rachel, that's pathetic even for you. I don't own this store, I said. It was technically true. I own the parent company, not the individual location. Oh my God, Mom said, her voice dripping with disappointment. Your coffee shop failed, didn't it? You're back to working minimum wage jobs. Marcus finally looked up from his phone. Jesus, Rachel. We all tried to warn you. You can't just decide to be a business owner without any real experience. I have experience, I said quietly. Making lattes doesn't count as business experience, Amanda snapped. He turned to our parents. This is exactly what I was afraid of. She's 39 years old, working a minimum wage job, probably living in some tiny apartment. It's embarrassing. Dad looked around the coffee shop again, his expression growing more disgusted. This place is a dump. Look at this furniture. Look at those machines. This is what happens when you aim too low, Rachel. You settle for mediocrity and this is where you end up. A few customers were definitely watching now. Kevin had emerged from the back room, sensing trouble. He looked between me and my family, confused. Is everything okay? Kevin asked me quietly. Before I could answer, Mom spoke up. Are you the manager? Kevin nodded. Yes, ma'am. Your sister's store is an embarrassment, Dad announced loudly. He was using his important businessman voice, the one he used when he wanted everyone to know he was someone who mattered. Look at this place. The furniture is falling apart, the paint is peeling, it's dirty. It's not dirty, I started. Don't interrupt, Amanda snapped at me. Adults are talking. Mom turned to Kevin, her voice taking on a sympathetic tone. I'm so sorry you have to work with her. Rachel's always been the family failure. She's lazy, unmotivated, makes terrible decisions. I'm sure she's a difficult employee. Mom added, she's always been the failure, she continued, making sure her voice carried across the entire coffee shop. Several customers had their phones out now, recording. I stood there, cloth still in my hand, saying nothing. I'd learned years ago that arguing with them was pointless. Kevin's face was turning red. Ma'am, I need to ask you too. We want to speak to corporate, Dad interrupted. This store is unacceptable. The condition, the staff. He gestured at me with disgust. Everything about it reflects poorly on the Cornerstone brand. We're going to make sure someone at headquarters knows what's going on here. Amanda pulled out her phone. I'm calling right now. What's the corporate number? Kevin looked at me helplessly. I gave him a small nod. He pulled out his phone and dialed. I knew exactly who he was calling. The regional director, Jennifer Chin. She was in Seattle, about 3 hours away. Hi, Jennifer, Kevin said into the phone. This is Kevin from the Pearl District location. We have a situation. Some customers are demanding to speak to corporate about the store condition and an employee. He paused, listening. Yes, that's right. They're being pretty aggressive about it. He handed the phone to Dad. The regional director wants to speak with you. Dad took the phone triumphantly. Yes, hello. This is Robert Morrison. I'm calling to complain about this location and specifically about an employee named Rachel. She's completely unprofessional, the store is in terrible condition, and frankly, I think there needs to be an investigation into how this place is being run. I couldn't hear Jennifer's response, but I could see Dad's expression changing from triumphant to confused. What do you mean, which Rachel? He said. The barista. The one working here right now. Pause. Morrison. Her last name is Morrison. Longer pause. His face went pale. What? He lowered the phone slowly, staring at me. She says the regional director is on her way. She'll be here in 3 hours. 3 hours. Amanda scoffed. From where? Seattle, Dad said quietly, still staring at me. She's dropping everything and driving here from Seattle. Mom frowned. That seems like an overreaction to a customer complaint. I smiled and went back to wiping tables. Jennifer's very committed to customer service. Marcus was Googling something on his phone. His face went white. Guys? I think we should leave. Why? Amanda demanded. Just, look at this. He turned his phone around. I couldn't see what he was showing them, but I could guess. Probably the Forbes article. Or the company website. Or any of the dozen interviews I'd done over the past year. Mom's hand went to her mouth. That can't be. Rachel Morrison, founder and CEO of Cornerstone Coffee. Marcus read aloud. Current net worth estimated at $1.7 billion. The company operates over 400 locations across 12 states and is preparing for an IPO expected to value the company at $5 billion. The coffee shop had gone completely silent. Every customer was watching now. Several phones were pointed in our direction. Dad looked at me, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and dawning horror. You own Cornerstone Coffee? Yes, I said simply. I kept wiping tables. All of it. Mom whispered. All of it, I confirmed. Amanda's expensive leather briefcase slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a thud. But you said you didn't own this store. I don't, I said patiently. I own the parent company. This location is owned by a subsidiary LLC. Technically different entities. You let us think you failed, Marcus said. His voice sounded strange, like he couldn't quite process what was happening. I didn't let you think anything, I said. I stopped wiping tables and looked at them directly for the first time. You assumed I failed because you've always assumed I would fail. You never asked about my business. You never visited. You never showed any interest in my life whatsoever. So yes, I let you continue believing what you already believed. But the Forbes article, Mom started, came out 11 months ago. Did any of you read it? Silence. Did any of you even know I was on Forbes? More silence. Rachel, we didn't know, Dad said. He was using his reasonable voice now, the one he used when he was trying to smooth things over. If you'd told us. I invited you to the grand opening of my second location, I interrupted. You said Portland was too far to drive. I invited you to our 100th store opening celebration. You said you were busy. I sent you all the company newsletter when we hit 50 million in revenue. None of you responded. Amanda was scrolling through her phone frantically. There are articles about you everywhere. How did we not know about this? Because you never looked, I said. Because I was just Rachel, the disappointment, the one who threw away her career to make lattes. Why would you bother keeping track of what I was doing? Kevin was standing behind the counter, looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. A few customers were openly recording now. I recognized one of them as a local food blogger with a significant Instagram following. This was going to be all over social media within an hour. Mom's eyes were wet with tears. Rachel, honey, we're so proud of you. We always knew you'd be successful. I laughed. I couldn't help it. No, you didn't. 15 minutes ago you told the manager that I was the family failure. You called me lazy and unmotivated. You said I made terrible decisions. We were upset, Dad tried. We thought the store was in bad condition and we were worried about you. The store is in bad condition, I agreed. It's one of our older locations and it needs renovation. That's why I approved a $2.3 million remodel starting in 2 weeks. But you didn't know that. You just saw old furniture and assumed I was failing. We made a mistake, Amanda said. Her lawyer voice was coming out now, smooth and conciliatory. We should have been more supportive. We should have asked more questions. But Rachel, you have to understand from our perspective. From your perspective, I was an embarrassment, I finished. I get it, Amanda. I've always been an embarrassment to you, to all of you, and that's fine. I made my peace with it years ago. Marcus stepped forward. Rachel, come on. We're family. Can't we just move past this? I looked at them. My parents, my siblings, the people who had spent my entire life making me feel small. The people who had never believed in me, never supported me, never even bothered to ask how I was really doing. The regional director will be here in about 2.5 hours now, I said calmly. You wanted to file a formal complaint about the store condition and about me as an employee. Jennifer will be happy to take your complaint and forward it to the appropriate person. Rachel, we're not going to, Dad started. Oh, but you should, I interrupted. You drove all the way here. You made a scene. You told everyone I was a failure. You should follow through. I insist. I pulled out my phone and texted Jennifer. Family situation. Please come to Pearl District location. Bring Mike from HR and our legal counsel. We may need them. Mike was our VP of Human Resources. Our legal counsel was a firm that Amanda would recognize. They were bigger and more prestigious than her firm. What are you doing? Mom asked nervously. Calling corporate, I said sweetly. Isn't that what you wanted? The next 2 hours were excruciating. My family tried to leave 3 separate times. Each time I politely asked them to stay. You filed a complaint, I said. Corporate is coming to address it. It would be rude to leave before they arrive. They sat at a corner table speaking in furious whispers. Other customers came and went. The story was already spreading online. I could see people checking their phones, glancing at my family, taking subtle photos. Kevin approached me while I was making a cappuccino. Ms. Morrison, I'm so sorry. If I'd known they were your family. You did exactly right, I told him. You protected an employee from aggressive customers. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. But they're your parents. Which doesn't give them the right to treat you or me poorly in your workplace, I said. Don't apologize for doing your job well. At exactly 12:47 p.m., 3 black SUVs pulled up outside the coffee shop. Jennifer Chin emerged from the first one, a sharp woman in her 40s, dressed in an immaculate suit. From the second SUV came Mike Davidson, our VP of HR, and Patricia Reeves, our head of legal. From the third came 4 people I recognized as members of Jennifer's executive team. This was, I realized, massive overkill for a customer complaint. But Jennifer had clearly understood what I was actually asking for. Backup. They walked into the coffee shop like an invading army. Jennifer's eyes swept the room, landing on me standing behind the counter, then moving to my family huddled in the corner. The regional director arrived, Kevin whispered to me. Jennifer walked straight to me first. Ms. Morrison, she said formally, loudly enough for everyone to hear. Thank you for bringing this situation to my attention. My father stood up. Look, there's been a misunderstanding. Jennifer turned to him. You're Robert Morrison? You're the one who filed the complaint. I didn't exactly file a complaint, You called our regional office to report concerns about this location and specifically about one of our employees, Jennifer said. Her voice was professional but cold. I take all complaints seriously, Mr. Morrison. So let's address them. You said the store was in unacceptable condition. Well, yes, but... I agree, Jennifer said crisply. This location is overdue for renovation. That's why CEO Morrison approved a $2.3 million remodel last month. Work begins in 12 days. We'll be installing new equipment, new furniture, new flooring, new lighting. The location will be closed for 4 weeks during the renovation. Dad's mouth opened and closed. You also complained about an employee. Rachel Morrison, I believe. That was before we knew. Before you knew she was the CEO of the company? Jennifer's eyebrow raised. I see. So your complaint about her performance was based on what, exactly? Silence. Did she provide poor customer service? No, but... Was she rude to you? Not exactly. Did she fail to perform her job duties? No, but... Then what specifically was your complaint about this employee? More silence. Mom tried to intervene. We were just concerned. Ms. Morrison, Jennifer turned to Mom, her voice sharp. I'm sorry, what is your name? Patricia Morrison. I'm Rachel's mother. I see. And did you or did you not tell our store manager that your daughter was always the family failure, and that she was lazy and unmotivated? Mom's face flushed red. I didn't mean. Because we have security footage, Jennifer continued smoothly. With audio. And several customers recorded the incident on their phones. At least 3 videos are already circulating on social media. Amanda stood up, her lawyer instincts kicking in. This is ridiculous. We're her family. We were having a private conversation. In a public place of business, Patricia Reeves, our legal counsel, spoke for the first time. She was a tall black woman with silver hair and an expression that could freeze water. A business that Ms. Morrison owns. Where she was working as an employee. You subjected her to verbal harassment in her workplace, MS? Amanda Morrison. Morrison, Patricia repeated. Any relation to the CEO? She's my sister. I see. So you publicly humiliated your sister in her own place of business, called her a failure, and then attempted to file a false complaint about her job performance with corporate. Is that an accurate summary? Amanda's professional composure cracked. We didn't know it was her business. Does that matter? Patricia asked coldly. Would it be acceptable to verbally abuse a barista if she wasn't a billionaire? No answer. Jennifer pulled out a tablet. Mr. and Mrs. Morrison, I'm going to need to ask you some questions for our official report. Is it true that you've never visited any Cornerstone Coffee location before today? Well, no, but... Is it true that you were unaware your daughter founded and currently runs this company? She never told us, Dad said defensively. Did you ever ask? I spoke for the first time since they'd arrived. Everyone turned to look at me. I stepped out from behind the counter, untying my apron. Did any of you ever ask what I was actually doing with my business? Did you ask about revenue or expansion plans or employee count? Did you ever visit a single location? Did you read the Forbes article when I sent you the link? Did you congratulate me when we hit 400 locations last month? Silence. You didn't ask because you didn't care, I continued. My voice was calm, steady. I'd practiced this speech in my head 1,000 times. You decided years ago that I was a disappointment and nothing I did was going to change that. So I stopped trying to change it. I built my company, I became successful, and I did it without your support or your approval or your belief. Rachel, please, Mom's voice cracked. We made a mistake. We're sorry. You're not sorry, I said quietly. You're embarrassed. There's a difference. You're sorry that you got caught on camera calling me a failure in front of customers and corporate executives. You're sorry that your behavior is probably going viral on TikTok right now. But you're not actually sorry for 39 years of making me feel worthless. That's not fair, Marcus said. Isn't it? I turned to him. When's the last time you asked about my life, Marcus? When's the last time any of you treated me like an actual member of this family instead of an embarrassment you had to tolerate at holidays? Jennifer cleared her throat. Ms. Morrison, CO Morrison, what would you like us to do with this situation? I looked at my family. Dad looked defeated. Mom was crying. Amanda was pale and shaken. Marcus was staring at his shoes. I'd like you to log their complaint officially, I said. Document everything they said, including the statements about my performance as an employee. Note that the complaint was filed by family members who were unaware of my position in the company. And then, Jennifer asked, and then I'd like you to ban them from all Cornerstone Coffee locations permanently. Mom gasped. You can't do that. I literally can, I said. I own the company. Jennifer, please add Robert Morrison, Patricia Morrison, Amanda Morrison, and Marcus Morrison to our banned customer list. Security at all locations should be notified. Rachel, please. Dad's voice was desperate now. Don't do this. We're your family. You're right, I said. You're my family. And you spent my entire life making me feel like I didn't belong. You mocked my dreams, dismissed my achievements, and today you tried to get me fired from my own company because you assumed I was a failure. So yes, I'm doing this. Maybe when you want your morning coffee and you have to drive past 4 Cornerstone locations to find somewhere else, you'll remember this moment. SR, the CEO would like a word, Jennifer said formally to my father. I looked at him directly. The word is goodbye, Dad. Take your complaint, your apologies, and your embarrassment and leave my store. Patricia, our legal counsel, stepped forward. If any of you attempt to contact Ms. Morrison, her employees, or any Cornerstone Coffee location, it will be considered harassment and we will pursue legal action. If you speak to the media about this incident, we will pursue defamation claims. If you post on social media about the company or its CEO, we will have our legal team review every word. Am I making myself clear? They nodded silently. Good, Patricia said. You have 5 minutes to leave the premises. They left in under 2. After they were gone, the coffee shop erupted. Customers who'd been watching the whole thing broke into spontaneous applause. Kevin looked like he might cry from relief. Jennifer's executive team was already on their phones, managing the PR situation. Jennifer approached me quietly. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. And surprisingly, I was. I felt lighter than I had in years. For what it's worth, Jennifer said, you're an excellent barista. Your espresso was perfect. I laughed. Thanks. I learned from the best. Myself at my first location 14 years ago. What do you want to do now? I looked around the coffee shop, the worn furniture, the old machines, the chipped paint. My first real business grown into an empire. Built without my family's help. Built despite their disbelief. I want to finish my shift, I said. Kevin, I'll work the afternoon rush with you. Jennifer, I'll meet you back at headquarters tomorrow morning to discuss the renovation timeline for this location. Let's accelerate the schedule if we can. This store deserves better. Yes, ma'am, Jennifer said with a smile. I put my apron back on and returned to the counter. Kevin was still looking at me with awe. Ms. Morrison. When I'm in uniform, it's just Rachel, I told him. And Kevin, you did great today. Protecting your employees, standing up to aggressive customers, calling for backup when you needed it. That's exactly the kind of management we need. I'm putting you in charge of training new managers for our Pacific Northwest expansion. 40 new locations in the next 18 months. Interested? His eyes went wide. Are you serious? Dead serious. You'll get a significant raise and equity options. Talk to Jennifer tomorrow about the details. Yes. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. The afternoon rush started at 2 p.m. We were slammed until 6. I made lattes, called out orders, cleaned the espresso machine, restocked supplies. My feet hurt. My back ached. I loved every minute of it. At 6:30, Kevin locked the front door and started the closing procedures. I helped him clean, count the register, and prep for the next morning's shift. Rachel? He said as we were finishing up. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why do you do this? The undercover shifts, You're a billionaire. You could be anywhere. Why work minimum wage shifts in your own stores? I thought about it. Because this is where it started. This is the real business. Not the board meetings or the investor calls or the Forbes interviews. This is where we actually serve people. Where we make their morning better with a good cup of coffee. I never want to forget what that feels like. He smiled. That's a pretty good answer. It's the truth. I hung up my apron and grabbed my jacket. See you tomorrow, Kevin. See you tomorrow. I walked out to my car, a modest Honda Civic I kept for these trips. I could afford any car in the world, but I liked this one. It reminded me of the car I drove when I opened my first location. When everything was uncertain and terrifying and exciting. My phone had 63 text messages and 27 missed calls. I ignored all of them. Instead, I pulled up the security footage from this morning on my phone. Watched my family walk in. Watched them recognize me. Watched the whole thing unfold again. Then I deleted it. I didn't need to watch it again. I didn't need the reminder. I knew exactly who they were, who they'd always been. And more importantly, I knew exactly who I was. I was Rachel Morrison. Founder and CEO of Cornerstone Coffee. Self-made billionaire. Former barista. And I didn't need their approval anymore. I never had. I drove to my Portland apartment. The modest 2-bedroom place I kept for trips like this. Tomorrow I'd fly back to Seattle, back to my real home, back to headquarters. I had board meetings, investor calls, expansion plans to review. But tonight I was just Rachel. The girl who took a risk on a failing coffee shop. The girl who proved everyone wrong. The girl who won. 3 weeks later, a package arrived at my Seattle office. Inside was a letter from Mom. Rachel, we've been trying to call. We understand if you don't want to talk to us. We understand if you never want to see us again. But we want you to know that we're proud of you. We always were. We just didn't know how to show it. We're sorry. Love, Mom. I read it twice. Then I put it in my desk drawer next to the Forbes article they'd never read. Maybe someday I'd respond. Maybe someday I'd forgive them. But not today. Today I had a company to run. An empire to build. A life to live. And I was doing it all on my own terms, exactly the way I'd always wanted. Without them.